guys, so this is our project for this week. If you guys saw my daughter's room makeover, my teenager's room makeover, you guys heard me say that I have tried to upcycle this piece twice already, so she is going on her third time. We had made her a little bit shorter because my daughter is tall and it wasn't fitting perfect when she was playing the piano, but when we got rid of the piano, we no longer needed it. But however, one of these legs broke off and I just never put it back in. Also, this part right here, you can see it also disconnected. So, I went on Pinterest, good old Pinterest, and got some good ideas for this piece. So, I'm hoping I'm able to give her a third time, you know, at life, and let's see if we can, make it happen. Let's see if my ideas can come to life. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take the remainder legs off because I'm actually going to make it a little bit shorter so they're all even. So let's do that. So these legs definitely gave me a run for my money. They were a lot harder to take off than I anticipated due to the fact that the bolt nuts were squared and not, you know, your traditional round. So I was having trouble using my pliers trying to grip them. One leg had broken off, so I hadn't noticed, you know, it had a squared bolt nut. And so, yeah, it took me a while, but fortunately, it got to the point where I was able to just go in and use my hand to loosen it up than using my pliers because every time I turned it a certain way, I would hit my knuckles and that hurt a lot. But yeah, finally, I was able to loosen every single one of the legs and take them off. I actually ended up cutting them a certain length. My footage went missing, so I couldn't show you that. But once I cut them all the exact length, I went ahead and I sanded every single one of the legs on the top so they were nice and smooth. One of them, unfortunately, during the cutting process, did chip a little, so I had to go in and glue a piece. Just went ahead and I clamped it down. I put the wood glue on. So we're just going to go ahead and let that, and then we're just going to work on the other piece for now. So this is where the staples had come out, and this popped out. So this is where everything is supposed to stay inside, but it wasn't. So we're gonna go ahead. I'm thinking of stapling them again back in, or probably just putting a nail, a smaller nail, that way they stay in, because I'm unable to get the staples out. Otherwise I will break this, and I don't want to break that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try to pop these like in, and then just put a nail in between instead. So I want to say around this point is where I realized that these nails were not going anywhere and I was starting to get frustrated. So instead I grabbed my drill and one of the drill bits to drill a hole, a small little hole, and instead of putting a nail, I decided to put in a small tiny screw instead. And I did that on 3 or 4 other places for it to actually stay in place. And that was actually a lot easier because the wood that's on the bottom was really tough and the nail was just bending every single time, and I had to be very careful because I had a small line where to work with. You guys know that I bought new pillows, right? So when you sit on this for a very long time, it's hard, okay? So I was thinking I could reuse the stuffing from these pillows to put it on here, and then I have material left over from my accent chairs in my room, or not my room, my living room. And I was thinking this would look really nice. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try to give this a try and see how it works out. So once I finish unscrewing the top part of the bench, I went ahead and started cutting my fabric with my trusty scissors. These are my all-time favorite scissors. You will always see me use these scissors for everything because they cut anything and everything. I don't even remember where I purchased them, and I've had them for many, 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 many years. A handle is broken and I still continue to use them. They have a safety feature where they will lock when you're not using them, and like I said, they cut anything and everything. So I continue to use them. But once I had cut out my material, it was time to come in and start, stapling everything in place. The way for me that's worked better is to start on the outer corners and then work your way in. Before, I would start from the middle and work out, and then my corners would look kind of funky and I didn't like it. I also made sure that the stuffing would go over the edge, otherwise the corners would poke out a little too much and it looked weird, and we wanted it to have that kind of like oval or rounded corner instead of a pointy, corner the way the wood was. So yeah, after some trial and error, because this is my third time trying to upholster something, I feel like once I got to a decent of how I wanted stuff, I was able to go in and then start cutting, the excess material. Remember, these are staples. You can go in. I have a little thing where I will unhook the staple and remove the material around if you have to. So with this bench, I was being very precise of where I was going to put the staples on the exterior material, because you have to remember there are areas where I had to put the bolts back in for the bottom part. I was gonna say top part. We're working on the top part for the bottom part because it does have a hinge where it opens once everything is back together. And so I needed to make sure that I was putting the staples, in a certain area. So I was able to screw those screws back in and those staples weren't in my way. Prior to this, I also made some little marks of where the screw holes were at. That way I could also make sure and I, stapled around those holes and I wouldn't cover them up with the staple. I apologize for the bad lighting because it's raining outside and I had to close the door of my garage. But I don't know if you guys can see. You see right here where my nail is touching that. Well, every time I put that into that corner right there, it doesn't let it sit flat or flushed. So what I'm going to do, since it's going to be so high up, you probably won't even see it in the corner. I'm going to go ahead and just take off this little bit right there. I don't know if you can see it. Right there, yeah. That bit right there where my nail can go. I'm just going to go ahead and take that off. So as you can see, I've done two. All I did was just boop, boop. So now this goes in there a lot better. Boop, boop. Because before I cut that part off, it just wasn't sitting right. As you can see, the space now. No space. So yes. So once I had all the legs nice and cut, especially the corner that was preventing me from them sitting, as you can see here, nice and squished in because those sides were just giving me problems. I went ahead and started, marking every single one of the legs to make sure I knew where the screw was supposed to go in, because these legs had, I want to say, double-ended screws. One side would screw into the leg and then the other piece that was left on the outside would allow you to screw the legs onto the bench itself. This was the first time I ever worked with these type of screws, so I just wanted to make sure I did it right. They definitely were a lot harder than I was expecting because I had to drill the holes far into the leg to make sure that they were in. So after, the first one, I had to put on my workout, glove on, because holding the pliers very, with a firm grip and then twisting the leg so that the double-ended screw would go in, it started hurting my hand. So yeah, but as you can see here, this is what I meant by the double-ended. So one side would screw into the leg and then the other side's gonna stay out, so you're able to screw it into the bench. But I needed to make sure that they were in there nice and tight so they wouldn't pop off. When I took these legs off, they also had glue inside, so you could also glue them instead of just screwing them on. But as you can see here, nice and tight. Once I was done, putting all the legs back on, as you can see here, it was time to give it a touch up. I wasn't changing the color, so nothing different on the color. It's going to be the same color, but I just wanted to touch up because there are some areas that had already chipped after, 2-3 years of having this bench. And this is the third time he's upcycled, and I just want to make him, nice and fresh all around. So once everything was taped up, I came in and started, giving her a touch up with the brand Varathane in the color Ebony. You can purchase this at Home Depot, Walmart, Lowe's. They all carry it, and it's not expensive and it lasts long. I've done many projects with this 1 quart right here, and it's hold up. But yeah, it does take a little bit for it to dry on the bottle or the can. It says 1 hour. um, some days it just depends. Some projects it's taken up to 3 days. That's the what happened with this bench. After 3 days later, I was finally able to come in and touch it up with the sealer, and I prefer to go in with a matte sealer. I have been really into just mattifying everything. I really like the way it looks. I don't like the shiny, and I just prefer matte for everything lately. I'm super happy how this bench turned out. I finally have somewhere to sit, to put on my shoes. I have somewhere to put my blanket when I'm not using her. Don't mind it looking Halloween. It's just I love this blanket, super soft. And now I have somewhere to put my pillows when I have to take them off my bed, because I always put them on the floor because I didn't know where else to put them. But yes, don't mind my very old sneakers, but these are actually my work sneakers, and it's time for a brand new pair. But as you can see here, it's comfortable. I no longer have to go sit on my toilet seat to put on my shoes. I can sit on my bench, put on my shoes, and head to work. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video as much as I had fun, making this bench. I will see you guys in our next video, and y'all have a wonderful day.